evergreens and pine cones, and that is the subject of our show. Down that way, we'll talk to Mick Cosgrove about Heartland trees.
Mick Cosgrove, we're out here by the Starlight 14, and you're getting a load of trees in.
Yes, we are. These are trees that were just cut this morning. We're bringing them in, getting ready for our season to start, which will start in a week. Our retail lots here, so we're getting excited.
Okay, today is the 16th?
Yeah, so the 23rd is our goal to be open and running and providing trees for everyone's family.
Well, good. I can smell them already. It's really nice.
Yeah, it is. I love this time of year. I love this part of what we do, and we look forward to it every year. We have families that come year after year and get their tree from us, and it's exciting and rewarding for us to be part of that celebration each year.
Well, how long have you been doing it in this spot?
In this spot, about 23 years, I believe.
Oh, so it's a tradition for families.
It really is. It's been selling trees in Richland Center since 1978. We started at Triangle and then moved to a couple other locations. Eventually this was available, and this has been our home for 23, I think it's either 23 or 24 years.
Well, it's a great location, obviously, right here on the intersection of Starlight 14. I mean, it's a busy, very busy highway.
It is. It's also easy to get in and get out. It's flat. It works well. We've got electricity available so we can light the lot. We're open every night till 8 so people can, after school and get home from work, get dinner and get that out of the way. They can come and shop at night in our lighted lot. So try to accommodate everybody as best we can.
Can we walk down and see what's
Sure.
going on? Well, or what will go on down here?
Yeah, so each tree that we bring in will be individually tagged, and they vary in price based on the quality, the size, and the species of the tree. And but each tree will have a tag, and there'll be several hundred. Typically, we have about 300 trees on display at any given time. And so whether it's a tall tree, short tree, wide tree, we should have a tree for you.
How many species do you have here? I get them all mixed up, really.
So there's about 5 species that are in general. There's the Fraser fir, which has become very popular. It's a little pricier tree, but it is known to best hold their needles. A very slow growing tree, which is why they're more expensive. Balsam fir, white pine, red pine, or Norway. Typically we have Scotch. We're not going to have much for Scotch this year, but and then there's some hybrids out there that are crosses between the balsam and the Fraser that the industry is working with. So
yeah. So these are all shorter needle?
No, they're short. We have long needle. Those
See,
would be the
I told you
white
I didn't
pines.
know much.
Yeah, they're just unloading some white pine there, and so
Okay.
those are longer needles. But the shorter needles are more aromatic once you get them in the house.
Yeah.
And they tend to support, the branches are heavier and they support decorations better too. So.
And when you hang something on them, they don't. Well, I grew up with the long needle, and stuff would slide right off.
Yeah, it droops down,
Yeah.
so on. So, yeah, the industry has kind of evolved away from those trees and into the shorter needles.
So this is a demonstration of, what did you call it? Just wrapping it up, or
Netting it up.
netting it up?
Wrapping it to take it home. Keeps the tree from getting damaged and makes it easier to get it home and then stand.
So who invented this? they're
Some guy who's not sitting at home watching football.
yeah.
Wow. Ready to load on top of the car? Or
Yeah.
And to get in the house, put it in the stand first, then take the netting off. You're not eating needles in the process.
Well, how did you do it before this? It's a pretty simple looking thing, but
Yeah, this is really nothing more than an oil drum, 55-gallon drum.
yeah.
If you want it tighter, you go to a 33-gallon drum. We've used it as long as I can remember. I don't ever remember. I think at one time there was only 1 or 2 years where we didn't have these balers, and we actually made these two ourselves from a barrel. We've made about a half a dozen of them. So
I was down at Rotary Lights this morning just walking around. I see the trees are up down there. When were those delivered?
we took those trees in this morning at 8 o'clock and dropped them at, just drove through, and the guys drop a tree at each post, and they have a great crew that came right behind us, and we're unwrapping the trees and zip tying them to the post, getting them ready for everyone to come and decorate. I'm not sure when they're officially allowing people in to do that, but the trees are there and we know that's covered. So
And I think they opened, Thanksgiving Eve.
yes, I
So
think
Thanksgiving, thanks to Google, I found out was that it's as late as it can be on the 28th.
that's right. Yes.
So
Same thing for us here. We're short a week normally of what we would have for a season. Our season will be compacted by 1 week because usually Thanksgiving's earlier, like 23rd, 24th.
Right.
So we have that extra week in between. So just means there'll be a little more hustle every day, which we like that. So we'll be ready.
But you're always sold out in short order, it seems like.
Try to, not.
Yeah. So will you have Mr. and Mrs. Claus hanging around here too?
We will on Saturdays and Sundays each weekend during the season. We'll have Santa and Mrs. Claus, and they'll be here for pictures and candy canes for the kids, and great opportunities to just make some memories and capture them on film. So
In this little house over here?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got movies coming up. Are you tied in with that at all?
No, they're having holiday movies. I know that tonight they're having Polar Express and Wizard of Oz, which is kind of a commingling of a holiday and a classic.
Yes.
But they're planning to have films through the early part of December, I believe. So.
Yeah, well, good. Good. All right, well, thanks, Mick. Back to work with you.
Yes, thank you.
Well, here in the reception area of the Richland Center City Auditorium Performing Arts Center, we'll speak soon to Mick Cosgrove about what's going on here, about the development and the latest happenings.
Okay, we're at the RCPAC, also known as the Richland Center City Auditorium here on Central Avenue. Andrew Sharp, you happened to just walk in. Actually, you were here helping Viroqua. What is theirs called?
Yeah, Viroqua is doing a Christmas carol in mid-December, and they needed some costumes and they needed some food props. Thankfully, Louise Murphy, our prop creator, made some beautiful food props for us when we did the Miracle Worker, and so they're borrowing those.
All right. And their Christmas carol is, I forgot the date.
It's the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Landmark Center in Viroqua. So, and tickets are available online, I understand. I'm actually in that show with my wife.
Oh.
And Cam Cormican, who is one of our locals, is playing Scrooge. So there's a strong Richland Center presence in that Viroqua show.
So when you're coming in on 14, which is the main, drag, as we call it.
Yeah, you go down to the bank in downtown and you turn right and you go down 3 or 4 blocks and the Landmark Center is there. It's right next to the Waldorf School.
Okay.
So it's a big building, big old building.
So it's beyond the downtown.
Right, it's beyond the downtown into not far out of the downtown residential area. So.
Well, let's talk about upcoming events. But we're here with Paul Noer, but he said he didn't want to go.
Well, I can talk about the guitar.
Okay, let's see. First of all, events coming up. You mentioned some of them that you wanted to do with community players.
Rosanne might know.
Hi, Rosanne.
Hi, everybody.
Well, you just walked in.
I just did. Yes. So we are on the board for RC Performing Arts Council, and it's only, I think it's been less than a year that we've been here trying to do some things, get some things going, and the last few months we've had a couple shows, which is exciting. We had the Jimmies here from Madison. We also had Dan Koba and the Journeymen just a few short weeks ago. And upcoming is Maggie May and Eric Knopfsinger, and Maggie May is a well-known country singer, and so is Eric, and more so on the western side of Wisconsin. And they're going to be here December 15th at 2 o'clock, like I said, and it will be a wonderful Christmas and a country Christmas show, which is great. Some of the things we've been working on here in the building is the bar where the gentleman is standing. Gentlemen are standing. So we've been kind of trying to spruce up a few things. The signs are new, and we just love some of the old and the new mixed together here. My husband Paul, when we have the shows, he likes to have the band sign a guitar, and so I'll let him talk about that.
All right.
Well, this guitar is waiting for Maggie May to sign on December 15th. This guitar was signed by the Jimmies a month or two ago when they did their show here. And this one was just signed by Dan Koba and the Journeymen. So I thought it a good tradition to start whenever we have a band similar to that. We're going to start a guitar collection over here. So we can go up a little ways, or I've seen it done at other venues, so we decided to do it here.
Whose guitars are these?
Well, I've actually purchased these.
Okay.
Guitars. My wife says I have too many guitars at home, so I have to bring some here.
Yeah, but you have to take them back home.
I have to take them back home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's kind of a neat deal. Everybody's excited to sign on that too.
Well, this space gets better every year. The little lounge, cocktail lounge, what have you. It's been around now for quite a while.
Yeah, I think Norbert used to do
That's
that.
right, yeah.
Norbert was in charge of the bar before. So.
Yeah, Norbert and Susan were doing this. Of course, this room itself got changed. We knocked the walls down. These were all separate rooms, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
And the walls were taken out to make it more of an area where people could congregate and prior to shows.
Yeah.
So.
And there's an elevator on the
And
south
now
side.
there is an elevator right through there, and that's obviously the biggest improvement that we've been able to make so far. So this is also the home of Community Players, and Community Players, we're going to be doing Escanaba in the Moonlight here in February. So there may well be, we generally try to do a St. Patrick's Day show. Now, we don't have anything planned at the moment, but I'm guessing that we will probably bring someone in on St. Patrick's Day. So there's things coming up, and certainly acts that are going to be here. So
Escanaba.
Escanaba in the Moonlight is written by Jeff Daniels.
That's why, yes,
Yeah,
from...
right, and it's this show about deer hunting. He's got to get his first buck. He's never gotten a buck.
He's from Michigan.
And well, they're from the UP actually.
Yep.
They're a lot closer to Wisconsin than they are to Michigan, quite frankly.
Right.
But and we did Escanaba in the Moonlight. Actually, it wasn't Community Players, but Glenn Dunn from Community Players was in the show, and maybe again we'll have to see how it's cast. So.
Well, I thought it sounded familiar. Did he write any other plays?
Jeff Daniels?
Yeah.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But yeah, he wrote Escanaba in the Moonlight.
If you don't know him, he was in a couple Woody Allen movies. He was in the Dumb and Dumber movies.
Right. He was Colonel Joshua Chamberlain in Gettysburg, which is what I first knew him from and what I always think of myself. He was excellent.
He's not a big Hollywood person, though. He kind of hangs out in Michigan, doesn't he?
Right. Yeah. That's my understanding.
Yeah. So what else? Okay, we covered...
Well, we've been doing some major cleaning.
Oh,
and I really, Dwayne Welty really has been heading that up. And in doing that, we have come across a lot of interesting things, but we've set up, and when I say we, I mean Rosanne, and, has set up this historical display
Well,
Very nice.
you know, over the last 6 months, when we started cleaning, we started finding treasures.
Yep.
And this item right here was behind the bar for, I don't know, the last few years or even maybe more, I don't know. And I guess I wish I knew what this was, so if anyone knows, maybe they could tell us.
Yeah.
But we know it's an antique, maybe chips or coins or something went in there. But this item is unbelievable. This is the theater and with assigned seats or tickets. So for example, if this was where your seat was, this was your ticket. And then they were color coded.
So this being the balcony, this being the
Yes.
first floor?
Yes. And so we came across these are actually the old tickets. We have a lot of them, but I put them in here. I'm not sure how they did it way back when. But then you could see, oh gee, we sold all these tickets, you know, maybe there's a spot free that you can sit right there. So these would be each individual chairs inside the theater.
Kind of a pre-computerized way. The stage is up here then?
Right?
Yes. Well, yes. And then if you take a look at the picture above that, if you could zoom in on that, that is the theater, and look, all the people in there. The seats are small, but they seated, I think, between 500 and 700.
It was 850 originally.
Oh, okay.
It was 600 people on the floor and 250
Yes.
people in the balcony. That photograph is from the very opening, the opening night in 1913.
All dressed, well, the men all have suits, the women in...
Absolutely.
Yes.
If you didn't wear a suit in those days, you were some kind of slob. You were,
Exactly.
yeah. I mean,
Well, even
the gangsters.
movie theaters, they would wear suits.
Right, gangsters wore suits.
Gangsters, I tell you.
To rob we gotta put on our suit before we go rob a bank.
Right, that's right, I never thought of it. They have to look proper
Right.
for the mug shots.
So we found these pictures. There are pictures there in the display right between the two doors and two sets of doors. And I do believe we're going to come up with maybe a little bit different display type because people just don't get a chance to look at these very often. But here again is the close-up of the inside of the theater.
What style of architecture is this?
Well, the architect was hired out of La Crosse.
Okay.
And I had the name at one point, but it's 1917?
It's 1913. It was built in 12 and 13, and it opened in 13.
Oh, okay.
The cornerstone says 1912.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly what type of, I know that I have read that.
I have too.
I am not sure.
The frieze at the top might be a clue, the concrete.
Well, and the painting style, you know, so at some point we'll have to repaint, but you know, we'd hate to lose some of this detail. You can see the beautiful, kind of like a ribbony wallpaper stencil paper of some sort. You know, maybe it can be recreated with painting. I'm not sure.
It was designed in a modernized classical style by La Crosse, Wisconsin architect Percy Bentley. This red brick municipal building features an entablature comprised of a projecting cornice and modillion ornament placed on applied brick pilasters topped with Ionic capitals. Well, you know, there you go. That's just as clear as it could possibly be. So I'm sure everyone gets that right away. Now we have this excellent, I must say, brochure about the city auditorium and our restoration project, which is ongoing and has been ongoing since I've been on the board these last 20 years. So if people are interested, it's a beautiful building that I am very fond of.
And it was was built as a municipal, meaning we
Right.
had to vote for it. No one,
Right.
there was no Carnegie behind the scenes or Mr. So-and-so.
Exactly, yeah. Again, the question as to whether or not to build it came down to a tied vote, and Mayor Pearl Lincoln cast the deciding vote in favor of building it. And his wife, Mrs. Lincoln, was very much involved in the women's suffrage movement and the women's organizations that were in the basement.
Maybe she gave him I like to think this, maybe like an either or.
Right.
Why not?
It's ingenious for that time frame to think about using the building as a civic center and political, because there were political guests that were here as well. I believe Taft was here, someone from his party. So if you go back to that time frame, but then they also had a theater, and then there was silent films, and they actually had animals that came here, some live theater too, many years ago. And so the Brewer Library has a floor with all of the historic information in all about this building, and I've spent hours over there just reading it. It's impressive. So if anyone really wants some good history, there's 4 big binders at least 4 inches thick, and they've done a wonderful job preserving some of our history and our information and our articles. But the theater programs are really amazing over there, and I would like at some point to get copies of those and to display those here as well from the theater standpoint. So even way back when, because Harry Houdini was here, so maybe the younger folks don't know who Harry Houdini was, but some of us do, of course.
Right.
But there's always been that intertwining of theater and then the civic responsibility of allowing, political people to be here, guest speakers and things like that. So
William Jennings Bryan.
William Jennings
I
Bryan
think.
probably was here. That's a good one. It would be great if we could show that he was. Now, this was built in 1913, and he was really the most active prior to that, but I mean, he was still around. The Scopes trial was in 1925, and he was alive for that. And Clarence Darrow, who was on the other side of the Scopes trial, was here and spoke on this stage. So he's a particular hero of mine, but these are all people that a lot of the modern folks have not heard of. I hope they've heard of Houdini, who was from Appleton, by the way, from Appleton, Wisconsin. And there is a Harry Houdini museum that I've been to in Appleton, which is very nice.
And Liberace was...
Liberace has been here. Liberace's from Milwaukee. Yeah.
And,
People make fun of Liberace, but he was really a wonderful person, a wonderful musician. And what I love about Liberace is you could come up after his shows and you were allowed to touch him. You could touch his pianos. He was a very kind of populist sort of performer. So I've always loved that about Liberace.
And this, of course, was pre-sound film, so they still had the vaudeville acts.
This was built for vaudeville. There are 12 dressing rooms, 6 on one side and 6 on the other. But at the same time, at the time that this was built, movies were slowly taking over. So you would have a split ticket, what they called a split ticket, where you would have vaudeville shows and they would show a short film. So they'd just bring the screen down and show a film. So, 1913 was when things were really just beginning to shift over to movies. And then, of course, by the 30s, vaudeville was dead, and all these places were movie theaters, including this one.
Well, I remember coming here as a little kid. My parents would, drag me to cultural things.
Right.
They had Deflator Mouse, the opera from Milwaukee.
Oh, the Fugitives.
Yes,
Yeah.
you said that much better than I did. And they had La Boheme, the old standard, was on stage here. They were from Milwaukee. I thought, this is so cool. I didn't understand a thing, but it was the costumes and...
Right. Yeah. My father took us to see the student prince at the Pabst Theater in Milwaukee, and I found that those seats there are even more uncomfortable than our seats here.
Wow, it's a competition.
Right.
Cool.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the inside.
Okay.
If
Yeah,
we could.
I could run ahead and turn the lights
Yeah,
on.
that's
There
fine,
was a
thanks.
remodeling when I had done some history research. There was some remodeling in the 60s, which makes me think that maybe that's where the idea of red came from in this building. These doors are just beautiful with the filigree on there as well. And I know it's dark in here. Hopefully we can get to the lights.
There we go.
Yeah. It does need some remodeling, and they have worked on the outside of the building quite a bit, plus the elevator. So everything can't be done in a day or so, even though I'm impatient, but you can still see some of the beautiful scrolling around the stage walls. And the seats, what we have done is, there's always been cushions here for many, many years, but we also purchased some more. thicker ones. So
Metco.
my husband's company, Metco, purchased these and donated them. So these are great to sit on because they're thicker. And then if you need a back cushion, I think these work great as a back cushion as well. So they're great, and someday we're going to have to do something about the seats and the floors, but we can't do that until we doctor up the walls, because that will be quite a mess when we get to that. But both bathrooms on the lower level here have been updated a little bit for customers, and then of course for events with a lot of people, we have the beautiful bathrooms. You just go up the elevator, and the restrooms are upstairs as well.
Well, the new seats have been kind of an ongoing, when did they first start talking about that? Because there was a model seat, wasn't there?
Yeah,
Somewhere?
it was 15 or 20 years ago. We actually have
there it is.
2 of these. There's another one somewhere. And these were very nice seats that we were trying out. Now, the catch is, and I think that maybe it's Rosanne and I that keep pushing for new seats, and we keep being told that it's pointless to do the seats until we do the ceiling.
Right, yeah.
So we've got to get the money to redo the ceiling, otherwise everything is going to be dropping down on the new seats.
Yeah.
And there's
So-
been proposals of maybe taking out every other row, doing some things on a temporary basis. So there's different ways of going about that, but we want to remind any of our people that are watching this video that we are a nonprofit. We take donations. It's coming up on the end of the year, and of course you could probably donate into the new year as well. Mick Cosgrove would help get your donation, make sure it's legal, right? Make sure it's legal for your taxes. But again, we are a nonprofit, so we'd be glad to have any corporations, any businesses, anyone in town to donate. We still need to fix up the inside, especially doors and windows too need some work.
Right. Yeah, a lot of the money has got to be spent on the shell, the frame of the building before we can move on. But I mean, we have done some great things. The doors down there are new. I can't remember. We have the new awning. I can't remember the correct
The sign, yes, the
term
sign.
for it.
It's a digital
And we've got
display
the
sign.
digital display sign. That,
I can't think of the
that's
name of it either.
all new.
Yes, marquee. It's
Marquee.
It's a
Thank
lighted
you.
marquee.
We've got a new marquee.
Yes.
And so we're trying to strike a balance of keeping the old stuff and as much as we can, but replacing it with new stuff where we have to. So there's been a lot of changes. If you look at the stage, I'm given to understand, and it must have been when it was vaudeville, there was an orchestra pit. And they took it out and expanded the stage. But if you go into the basement, there's a spot where you can see through under the stage where the orchestra pit had been. So the historical aspects of this building are just incredible. Of course, the city offices were here. When we were cleaning out backstage, we found all kinds of, we found receipts and things like that from the 40s that were city tickets and things like that. So that was interesting. We found backdrops up there that were hand painted from the 1940s for the stage that I would have loved to have kept. But of course, they're 80 years old. They're not in good shape. We couldn't use them. It's be very hard to display something that's 40 feet long and 15 feet high. So we just had to pitch them, which is a pity. We took some photographs of them. But there are things going on and plans. It's a working stage and working theater, but at the same time, we would like to do renovations. So
Some of that was done, I think the gold up here was redone in the 60s or something.
Yes, that was a
okay.
big repainting time. That's where the red came from on the lower part of the walls, I think, was the 60s.
Okay, it looked pretty rough. before that.
Well, thank goodness that wasn't painted paisley or some other 60s sort of
Right.
It was beautiful back then.
right?
Right.
Some kind of psychedelic thing.
Sometimes we wonder about the usage of the building, because if we get bands here that are danceable bands, then we kind of still need a new space for dancing. And but as we grow with this building and we learn about it and we put all of our heads together, a big shout out to our board members. Andrew and I are on, my husband, but Mick Cosgrove's wife, Robin, is now helping as well. And then there's a couple, Dwayne and Shirley Welty. They are new to the area, although Dwayne was raised here, maybe south of town, more towards Muscadet. And he's a wonderful carpenter and maintenance type person, and he runs a farm. And so we just have some new members as well. Bob Frank is also a member, and he has Thursday night ballroom dance classes here. And so there's different things going on, not necessarily bands and theater. There's we've had Irish dancers in March. Sometimes there have been other groups, some church groups have rented this building to have certain events as well in here. So be sure to go to our website. If you go to Richland County Performing Arts Council, you will find some wonderful things and some pictures and things in there. And then also, we're not really doing Facebook yet. We're kind of still on the website area. Richland Tourism is well aware of this building and trying to help get us going as well. So please go to our website if you do want to rent our space. We'd be more than willing to help you out. And again, we want those donations if we could. That'd be great to continue beautifying this building for the whole community and surrounding community as well.
And you're using it, I know Mick said he wanted something every month, definitely. I mean, the way it should have been.
Certainly.
In the 20s, 30s, 40s. This
Yes.
was like a community
Yes.
center of
Doesn't have to
of
be
the
music
arts.
or theater. It can be a whole nother something that like I said, some religious groups have rented it as well. Be glad to walk you through it.
Yeah, we did have video churches in here. Jamie Johnson's
yes.
video church was in here. They moved to other spaces, which is fine, but I mean, we're capable of doing something like that as well if somebody's interested. And yeah, Bob and Tara Frank have the ballroom dancing lessons here if anybody is interested in that.
Right on the stage. And
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you'll come back next week and every week to see news and stories about what's going on locally.